People have always wondered what really happens to us when we die. Now, for the first time, scientists have recorded a dying brain and have made a shocking discovery. Our life might actually flash before our eyes when we die. Scientists were able to observe the neural activity of a dying human for 900 uninterrupted seconds. An 87-year-old patient had electrodes attached to his head to detect seizures after a seizure. When he died during treatment, doctors recorded unprecedented activity. The study, published in the journal Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience, says the patient died of a heart attack while being treated for epileptic seizures. And his doctors at Vancouver General Hospital in British Columbia recorded his brain during the process. The researchers specifically studied the 30-second intervals before and after the patient's heart stopped. What they found was that his life may have literally flashed before his eyes, as his brain was producing neuronal oscillations that typically occur when someone is dreaming or exploring old memories. By generating oscillations involved in memory retrieval, the brain may play a last recall of important life events just before death, similar to those reported in near-death experiences, said Dr. Ajmal Zemar of the University of Louisville. Mayo Clinic doctors were using electroencephalography, EEG, to treat the man's seizures when he died. While rudimentary recordings of dying brains have been captured in the past, they were of patients disconnected from the machines that were keeping them alive, and thus didn't provide much detail. In this case, the doctors had, inadvertently, prepared the tools needed to capture a comprehensive view of neuronal activity at death. It all started when the patient suffered an epileptic seizure, which caused bleeding in his brain. When he arrived at hospital, doctors discovered he was having seizures and hooked him up to an electroencephalograph, EEG machine, but he died during treatment, and his family signed a do not resuscitate order. Fortunately for the scientists, the family also gave the doctors permission to publish data about his brain's electrical activity. According to the cited doctor, the 15 minutes of uninterrupted data allowed researchers to focus on the transition period between life and death. Just before and after the heart stopped working, we saw changes in a specific band of neuronal oscillations, so-called gamma oscillations, Dr. Zemar said, known as brain waves. Neuronal oscillations essentially define the electrical activity of our brains. They occur at different frequencies and have generally been categorized into different states of consciousness. In this case, the patient's cardiac arrest showed drastic changes in alpha and gamma waves. It has long been known that this interaction correlates with memory stimulation, dreaming, meditation, information processing, and conscious perception. In other words, flashbacks. Given the cross-coupling between alpha and gamma activity, which is involved in cognitive processes and memory recall in healthy subjects, it is intriguing to speculate that such activity could support a final recall of life that could occur at the threshold of death, the study added. It is important to note that this study is the first of its kind, as activity in the living brain of a dying human has never been measured in this way before. On the other hand, these oscillations have been previously monitored in rats, suggesting that the brain could launch the same biological response to death in multiple species. However, the study offers some considerations, such as the traumatized patient's brain bleeding, swelling, and convulsing while this activity was being recorded. The man was also given substantial doses of anti-seizure medication, and there was no baseline for his normal brain activity. Ultimately, however, the research suggests that near-death experiences give us a proverbial slideshow of our lives, and that our brains execute that particular neural response on purpose. For Dr. Zemar, the findings prompt us to redefine when life truly begins and ends, and not to grieve too deeply. Something we can learn from this research is this: even though our loved ones have their eyes closed and are ready to leave us forever, their brains can replay some of the most beautiful moments they have experienced in their lives.